Hey guys, it's Kusi. In the last episode, we made our first crucial decision at picking up our first tier set piece, just to quickly 3D print another one to make it double. With that, we followed our footsteps in messing up keys, but also grew in playing clean, where we used to mess up. Then, we crafted our first 2 items for the season.
Oh my god, I love it! I love it!
And just to top it off, we met the most reliable party Europe has to offer, while also timing our first plus 16 in the series. But since we don't dwell in the past, and we go face first into future things, this episode is a continuation of our story to become the very best like no one ever was. Also, yet another vault for mine and your enjoyment, so stay tuned and enjoy. So as a quick catch up, here are the current Mythic Plus affixes for this week, so we all know what we're dealing with. Tyrannical makes bosses feel like they ate some Super Mario shrooms, while Entangling is secretly trying to give you swamp ass when staying in for too long. And Bursting is a disgusting joke from Blizzard with the longest 4-second timer in the world. Now the key for this episode is to grind more rating and obviously higher gear, with the goal in mind to push through Keystone Master as soon as possible so our 4 set is in touching distance. But enough mumbling, let's send it. After I popped my Doti Sherry the other day, I was hyped to do more of those, because they aren't really that hard if you can't decide the pulls. Morozon's Rise was first in line to feel my heavy breath, and on Tyrannical, this is a walk in the park as a tank for sure. Unless you don't press any buttons, it's really hard to die here and the trash just flops over for the most part. But seeing this dungeon is like a cosplay competition, we quickly wiped the floor with the anime hair tier, and just because I've been beating Noob Filter since 2008, paired with my ability to dodge people's shit, I aced this little parkour session alongside Owl Bundy over here to assert dominance towards the Q and E Stravers in our party. And now it's time for our favorite game.
Who's that Pokemon? It's Morchi!
At the end, this was a rather eventless run with a solid +2 to finish it off, which leads us to the ugly stepsister of Morozon's Rise, Galakrond's Fall. And here I finally popped my solo boss Sherry by being the last one alive to finish the boss. Luckily, this dude doesn't hurt overall, and it's rather simple to heal up from. Though I was worried that my anxiety acts up and makes me fail, cause I can't do it when everybody's watching. While most of the rest went silky smooth, we did have our fair share of issues to deal with Dr. Stone as we failed to keep Morchi alive. I think this is a fine moment to just tell you that just copying a talent build without reading it isn't always a good idea. You see, I talented Dream of Scenarios, which makes my regrowth heal an insane amount paired with the effect that it's castable while in bear form. It took me till the end of the second week of playing to figure that shit out, and it only happened by accident. So take it from me and read your talents. But I told you this because as a druid you can help healing that little blonde stopwatch by casually dropping a 6.3 mil heal paired with some 80k ticks. With this hidden secret jutsu, I totally praise myself for finishing this key still on a +2. You're welcome. And I got handsomely rewarded for my troubles. A new trinket, and finally a tank one. Now most of you will read the tooltip and say, oh, this is insane. And you're not wrong saying that. Granted, on lower keys it probably won't be as valid, considering mistakes are a lot more forgiving. But considering the fact that we aim for a +20 and that I tend to play like an absolute lunatic at times, this will be a lifesaver in the future for sure. This thing also adds a passive onto you of just simply not fearing anything, because if shit goes south, you stay alive to finish the mission. Okay, so the last dungeon we needed to clear on something over 11 was Atal Dazar, to snatch ourselves the last little bit of score before the reset hits. And what can I tell you? This key included 4 of the biggest dick slickers out there, and me, and we annihilated this +13 key with a 3-chester. Meaning we only need 202 rating to fulfill the first part of this journey for Keystone Master. Yet this experience filled me with a lot of self-confidence, and with that, I decided to keep the grind going by sending my own keys next. But I did pussy out at the end and lowered it to 16. Blackrock Hold, my favorite son, has returned, and even though it took me a while to assemble a party worth of conquering this cursed place, it was worth the wait, because at the end we got the only class that matters in this game. A hunter. But melee. And if a survival hunter applies to my keys, I get weak knees and I can't resist. Now, even though I often catch myself still pressing the wrong buttons out of pure stupidity, I can already feel that my ability to survive on my own has become a lot better. The occasional regrowth procs also really do help, if you still got a few seconds for Regen to come back up. Because after all, that thing hits for over 400k as a crit. And while posts like this really excite me for when the week comes that doesn't include bursting on Tyrannical, bosses like this don't excite me during said Tyrannical. let me introduce you to the worst Pharaoh's placement above the equator. Luckily, this bear skips leg day as a religion, so I was able to squeeze my tight booty in some untainted area while Mommy Sana keeps eyeing the rest of the party. Now, as someone who plays DPS himself, I can't fathom on why people do this. We get to 4 stacks, the paladin rips bubble and just keeps nuking everything else without giving the tiniest thought to the rest of the party. I'm sure you can do better, and if you guys want healer to stick around for a little longer this season, maybe be more thoughtful towards them. Back to the dungeon. Here I almost regretted the invitation of the hunter, because I had a hard time seeing the stones with that fat ass hippo in front of me. Kinda thick though. Because there aren't any bigger pulls happening in this dungeon anymore, and because bursting was our only enemy, you could imagine that we walked through the rest while 2-chesting this puppy. The key I got from this was the 18 Galakrond's Fall, so I was absolutely ready to call it a day and then start editing. But then all of those voices started to call me out. All those bullies from school, my work life, and my parents all said the same thing. Pussy, little bitch, pussy, little bitch, pussy. You a little bitch? But I'm not a little bitch, so I sent it. But I lowered it to 16 cause baby steps? Man, I'm such a little bitch for this. Quickly I found myself a handful of DPS, and one of them decided to swap over to heal for the sake of the party. I'm still amazed that there are people in this game that aren't stubborn little twats and just want to have a time. I do believe this is also my first encounter with a Frosty K in the party, so I was curious on what this gnome with necrophilia has to offer. But because Blizzard was scared of this quintet of Ponage, we got cucked by one of the mechanics on the first boss, leading to the demise of the one who already sacrificed every damn thing. I also learned that the first boss in here also debuffs the tank with a nasty spell that will make you vulnerable to further pegging, so I highly advise you lovely healers to be aware of it and dispel this crap in an instant. Needless to say, the second boss couldn't go possibly worse than the last time we've been here, so this assemble of gigachats made quick work out of the Sandman as well. But marching towards the end of this dungeon, we had to deal with the congested left nut of Galakrond, which not only identifies as a drake itself, but 2 drakes? In the end, we slaughtered the last drop of Galakrond's strudel and went ahead to finally take on Captain Stonetoes for a finale like no one has ever seen. I also learned from my past mistakes and perfectly played my part in here being useful by casually smacking Chromie with a 13 mil regrowth. Unfortunately, nothing to gain besides raiding, but since now I already did 3 plus 16s, I might as well go for the 4th to stack up more decent slots for the vault. But since I heard that local boss loot wants to meet me in my area, I decided to stay a little longer and queued for another one. Upper Doti this time, and while going for the trash, I already had a wonky feeling about this one. You see, I would love to show you what I mean, but my crusty old ass forgot to record it in time, so I was just turning it on for the boss. Yet, I can tell you, the overall healing and damage felt a bit off for a plus 60. Nonetheless, I was keen to try it out, but we quickly lost one of the DPS department, which doesn't make this fight easier in the slightest. And then there was this. A 983k hit from this blow that I usually just take face first. Does the consecrated ground increase the damage taken of this ability? Any gamers in the chat that knows that by chance? Anyways, as I was trying to figure out which boss just rolled over me, our healer, coincidentally called Sylvanas, whipped out the Banshee Queen disappearance, while I still can hear her say,
You are all nothing!
Humbled and neutered because we got raided by Big Daddy Tier. We split up, but I decided I wasn't done yet. Not even close, baby. So I went for another key that wasn't my own, but one I have mad history with. A dungeon where my humiliation and my retaliation were just one step apart. In the famous words of our all-time favorite apothecary, I neither had forgotten nor forgiven. So I made sure I got the tightest asshole when this key started in order to prevent any mess-ups. I also did a team player thing where I reminded my party that the little flowers indeed trigger bursting, which apparently no one gave a shit about. And by saying that, I want you guys to occasionally look over to the healing meter, because this insane flower worshipper hailing from Silver Moon EU was an absolute weapon. I rarely feel safe when I play tank, but this gamer had me tightly in his or her arms and sang me a don't you worry lullaby all dungeon long. Yet after the first boss took a fair share of time, 3 minutes with lust to be exact, the second boss had me in disbelief. I put a timer on my phone to check the actual time, but the first boss got nuked in just under 40 seconds. Absolutely finger blasted by the burst of a Feral and a Windwalker, which is for sure a title of a naughty cosplay self-made movie. We took care of the rest of the sloppy fungal gang and made our way to the arguably hardest boss in here. The Archmage so good, she probably could restore some of the most ancient hairlines this game ever brought out. And even our pet daddy Morgan had to feel the wrath of getting clapped by 2 different kinds of magic, making him feel like he just met Mitch Jones and Zaryu in one of their challenges. I also apparently lost the ability to count, as I hardly tried to do the math for the extra amount of treasure we need to get to 100%. Each mob around here gives exactly 1%, so you can tell that I had at least 3 brain farts by the time I needed to figure out that 7 aren't enough, and I need 8 to finish the deal. Luckily, I still have more than 8 fingers to help me out with, so we were able to get to the final boss with technically enough time to still 2 chests. And, like a true leader, I told them right away not to worry about the little flowers, cause the healer and I got it. And just like earlier, they didn't give a shit and still went out of their way to do it, which may or may not lost us too much time to finish this on a bigger rating. Regardless, we ended this overall pretty clean run and again got rewarded for our troubles. Zeritak's ballsack was all a young tank like me could ask for. Buttload of stamina paired with an absorb that easily outmatches my 2 set in effectiveness while being just a passive. What is there not to love? Also, in an act of kindness, our hunter whispered me that I had done a good job in this run, but in all honesty, I think the healer was the MVP of this group by far. Not only because of bursting. But with this, we ended the first tyrannical week of the season, with a whooping score of 1894, meaning only 106 score away from a guaranteed heroic tier piece and 5 possible item slots for our vault. And I told you in the beginning, as a little treat, this time I won't bullshit you and give you the moment we all waited for. 2 set pieces, a 30 item level upgrade on shoulders, a weapon we already have, and the same trinket we had last week. Easily not the best vault in history, but I'll be damned to complain. Tune in for my decision next episode, as well as my thought process behind it. But for now, I wish you the most fantastic day whenever you see this. Thank you for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. Take care.